Hi everybody, last day of the week and a slightly different version of the show today. I'm coming to you from Bangkok. In fact, I'm coming to you from my hotel room. Not very easy to find quiet places to do a program like this when you're talking and stuff. I don't even know what this thing does. Anyway, as far as the show last night, a West Side Story. We saw it at the Thailand Cultural Centre. More about the location of that a little bit later. It's on for 3 nights. I think on 2 or 3 of the days they're doing 2 shows a day, part of the Bangkok International Festival for this year. And last night the program was patronised by the US ambassador, who made a presentation of flowers at the end of the program. But excellent production, a new production of the program. A West Side Story originally done back in, I think it was first staged in 1957, and was a very important piece of musical theatre when it came out, apart from the subject matter, which pretty much sort of follows the story of Romeo and Juliet. It introduced a new style of music and dancing that was very abrupt and different to what people watching musical theatre were used to. Anyway, I'll talk more about that with Steve on Sunday's Grumpy Old Men, because he loves talking about stage and screen and musicals and stuff. So that was West Side Story, but on to a bit of news. And we're going to do it in snippets today. So the first snippet is a reduction in the electricity tariff. Now, it has gone into effect, and it's going to last for at least the next 4 months at a standard rate of 3.99 baht per unit. So I'm not sure what you're paying per unit at the moment or before, but it would have been probably 4 point something or 5 point something if the landlord decided to load it a bit. But it's going to be, was originally reduced immediately after the election of the government to 4.1 baht per unit. Well, after the cabinet meeting this week, it's been reduced to 3.99 baht per unit for at least the next 4 months. So under 4 baht per unit for your electricity. Just a few observations I noted on my trip to Bangkok this time. The first is about Thai Airways. Now, during COVID-19, I was flying up and back from Bangkok to Phuket every week, and I used to note and with interest what was happening with the Thai Airways planes. They were always piled up along the tarmac at Suvarnabhumi Airport. At the time, I used to count about 30 to 35 planes, which were all sort of laid up. Some had big covers over the engines. Some looked like they hadn't been touched for years. So today I was looking out for these planes, and yes, again, there was a whole line of planes. Now, I counted about 16 planes that were obviously just parked up and not being used. Then there was another 2 or 3 jumbos I spotted. Some of those didn't even have engines on them. But for Thai Airways to say that most of their fleet is up flying and things are almost back to normal is complete nonsense, unless they've magically found planes. I don't know what these planes are doing all parked up at Suvarnabhumi Airport, but it just all looks a bit strange for out in the open, these planes to be sitting doing absolutely nothing, and they've been doing that for years. Now, a few follow-ups to the shooting on Tuesday at the Siam Paragon shopping centre here in Bangkok, where a Chinese and Burmese lady died in the shooting. 5 other people were injured. And a person yesterday, a 41-year-old, was arrested in Bangkok as the seller of the converted BB gun. It had been converted from being able to shoot blanks to shoot live rounds, and he was arrested along with 40 other barrels that were also in the process of being converted so that they could also shoot live ammunition, and obviously sold sort of on the black market here in Thailand. But whilst this has been happening, there's also been a few changes made, especially by the Interior Minister, and they were announced yesterday. And the new Interior Minister, Anatun Sharvirakun, made some changes, mostly surrounding the use of these BB guns, the use and sale, and also the age of people that will be able to get into shooting ranges. So let's go through these specific changes. All firearm registration officials will be instructed not to issue new import or trading permits to current importers or traders of blank firing or BB guns. And permits for new importers of traders will also be suspended. The Customs Department will be asked to check imports of gun replicas. All registered shooting ranges must make sure that no one under 20 is allowed on the premises unless they're competition shooters, and that all guns brought into the range are legitimate. And provincial governors and the National Police Chief must not issue licences to carry firearms to any individual. New permits for the import or firearms for existing gun shops will be suspended, and the Ministry of Interior will end its policy of allowing state enterprises to import guns tax-free for its officials under the Gun Welfare Scheme. And a few other things further down, existing gun owners may be required to bring their firearms to be checked every 5 to 10 years for the renewal of their gun licenses, and gun replicas will be redefined to distinguish them from blank firing or BB guns, which can be modified to fire live ammunition. So the new government, led by the Interior Minister on this particular matter, Anutin Charnvirakul, the former Health Minister, has acted quickly to clamp down a little bit further some extra gun control in a country that really hasn't done much to control guns well in the past. But I think we're going to see a change to that and some quick action taken, but of course it will also centre around strong enforcement. Now, another thing that I noticed today was a little bit of inflation. Now, during COVID-19, I used to catch a motorcycle taxi often from our office at the Asok Tower down to the Terminal 21. I mean, there's good eating down there, a great food court, so I was often up and back, 3 or 4 times a week. And every time I just used to get a 20 baht note out, give it to the driver. Reliably, every time for a number of years, 20 baht. Well, now that's gone up by 25%. That same ride costs you 25 baht. And before I could say anything, the taxi driver, who obviously has had the question asked of him many, many times, said, "Well, our costs have gone up too. Don't start complaining, you're a foreigner." So I didn't. Now, I should do this particular story maybe out the front of Soy Cowboy, but I'm not really up that late at night. You can just imagine the pictures in your own mind. The reason I talk about this is because the Thai government, amongst all the other things that they're talking about at the moment, is they are talking about extending the closing hours. Now, I know many people have been talking about this for, months. The previous government, various governors, of course, the venue operators have been pushing to open their venues past the official 1 o'clock. Of course, many of them do anyway. A little bit of a paper bag and a smile will make, just about any club stay open any time of the night. But the government are at least talking about making later opening hours or closing hours official, and it's something that they're going to be discussing. And I think we'll hear about that before this year's high season. And just in relation to the closing time story, the patianews.com is reporting that the Prime Minister on Wednesday gave a speech called the Thailand Economic Outlook, and during that speech he did talk about closing times, and he was saying that they're not going to apply an overall sort of universal closing time around Thailand. It will be pitched to particular tourism areas and designed to make sure that local residents aren't put under any duress, and that having the same closing time around Thailand would be inappropriate. But I think, as I said, you can probably expect to see some action on that probably in the next month. Well, just another quick follow-up to that incident at the Siam Paragon shopping centre. They're also talking about initiating a thing called a CB emergency broadcast. That's a cell broadcast referring to mobile phones. The idea being that if there's an emergency in a particular area, that officials would be able to issue an emergency response or a call or a message on a phone just for those people in the affected area. Now, this obviously is technically quite complex, and will take a bit of time to roll out, but it's something that the government is looking to try and instigate as a response to the shooting at the shopping centre on Tuesday. This is our quick snippets version of TNT today, recording from my hotel room in Bangkok. And just a quick mention about tomorrow's live program for those people that like joining in to discuss anything you want. Anybody is welcome. And tomorrow it's going to be at 9 a.m. Thai time. So back to, I suppose, what people might describe as the usual time. 9 a.m. tomorrow. Hope you can join us. It'll be an hour of power. And then on Sunday, me and Steve, or Steve and I, Steve will correct me, I'm sure, we'll be doing Grumpy Old Men. Hope you can join us on that as well. Now, we mentioned yesterday the Typhoon Koinu, which was barreling down on the southern part of the island of Taiwan. Well, it's passed through the southern part of Taiwan. Now, some of the winds reached 250 kilometers an hour, regarded in that area as a Category 4 storm, which is obviously fairly severe. A lot of rain, a lot of wind. It's now making its way across the strait and will be making landfall with the Guangdong province in China. And in the next few days, it will certainly be affecting Hong Kong, but certainly not as bad as those storms, about a month ago when Hong Kong got really badly hit. But those typhoons floating in from the northern Pacific, it is the typhoon season. And just finally, it was very hard to go past this story reported on the partynews.com yesterday, and somebody in the comment section predicted that I'd be doing this story. Well, here you go. Bangkok police raid house storing over 18,000 sex toys valued at 10 million baht. So I suppose we can imagine what one might be used for. Let's try and figure out what happened to the other 17,999. And two alleged sellers were identified as a 24-year-old Thai female and a 28-year-old Chinese male. And police say they were posting advertorials on Facebook and other platforms and disguising sex toy products as massage devices. The couple allegedly admitted they've been importing sex toy products from China for more than 3 years. And the police officers issued 2 charges under the Computer Crimes Act and conspiring to sell obscene items. So this could lead to the great sex toy shortage of 2023. What a tragedy. Anyway, that's our snippets version of the program today. We'll be back in the Pangar studio, or my front room, on Monday. But tomorrow, 9 a.m. Thai time for our live program. And then on Sunday, Grumpy Old Men. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you later.